About to watch a video on fireworks, noise sensitivity and phobias in dogs. I'm Jim Stevens, behaviour counsellor, a consultant to the Irish Kennel Club with over 20 years experience in solving canine behaviour problems. So today's topic is about fireworks, how and why they occur and what you can do about it. The response to sudden unexpected noise is normal. You'd be a very stupid dog if you didn't suddenly react to something that was unusual. It doesn't necessarily imply that there's a problem, provided that recovery is short, and more importantly, it doesn't inhibit normal behaviour. Fear and phobias, however, are different. Fear is an adaptive response to protect the animal from an unpleasant event. A phobia is a maladaptive response which affects the normal behaviour of the dog. So you get dogs which are going to be socially withdrawn, are going to become anxious, going to want to hide. There's two components to noise phobias. Anxiety, which tends to be non-acute on onset, but it results in pacing, restlessness, hypervigilance. It can lead to loss of appetite, trembling and more frequent elimination, and these things tend to take time to occur. Fear, however, is acute on its onset. It tends to lead to avoidance strategies of the dog trying to escape, hide, startling, cowering, much more fearful signs. It's common in all pet animals, but unfortunately for pets such as rats, cats, rabbits, owners don't tend to see this. A cat's response to fear tends to be to hide. So again, owners of cats tend to be unaware, even though studies suggest that up to 45% of cats are actually affected by this. And what about dogs? Well, underreporting tends to be the same with dogs. Up to 50% are thought to be affected by noise sensitivity, although it leads to only 10% of referrals to Association of Pet Behaviour Counsellors in the UK, and often the reporting is left until the responses of the animal are extreme, such as physical damage or injury. There are differences that occur between purebred and pedigree dogs. Maybe surprisingly, the crossbreed mongrels tend to be more susceptible to this, and this could be a result of the type of environment that they grew up in or were bred maybe by amateur breeders or worse from a puppy farm, and therefore haven't been properly habituated to noises during puppyhood. There are also differences within breeds of pedigree dogs. The picture here is of a collie, and these tend to be some of the most affected breeds. Gun dogs obviously should be genetically disposed to loud noises, and the collies, because of their environmental upbringing, which tends to be more agriculturally based, so rural areas, they tend to have more problems with noise sensitivity and fireworks. Herding dogs have a high degree of that, so border collies over 50% are affected, and bearded collies as much as 75%. When does it occur? Noise phobia most often found in dogs aged 4 or more years. However, this tends to be because the first few occasions are mild, and owners tend to see the extreme indicators of the fear only after a couple of seasons. Development of noise phobia may have started much earlier as a puppy because of the lack of socialisation and habituation to loud noise. Breeders and owners should ensure that their pups are actually exposed to such noises, either by CD or tapes or downloadable MP3s from the internet, so that the dogs are well used to this when the real effects start to happen. There are sex differences. Bitches are more prone to firework sensitivity, particularly in neutered females, while neutered dogs are more prone than entire males. This is thought to be hormonally controlled. Testosterone is known to give dogs confidence, so its absence will make a neutered dog even more anxious. Similarly, in females, the lack of progesterone can lead to anxiety. So how does the problem develop? It's over a matter of time. Without intervention, the problem gets worse and worse. There's increasing severity. The reason can be a genetic component. There are well known that certain breeds or lines within breeds have fearfulness. A lack of exposure, as we mentioned, during the sensitive period, and therefore a lack of habituation to puppies. It can even be a single aversive event which shocks the dog so much that it starts to suffer from these problems. It can be a social learning from another pet, so you bring a pup into a household where there's an established dog that also exhibits such behaviour and fearfulness to noise phobias. The dog learns from that. It's basically an inability to predict what's going to be happening next. It can generalise from fireworks to other loud noises, cars backfiring, thunderstorms, etc., and a general increased sound sensitivity to other noises. It can even be pseudo-fear, that reassurance from owners actually causes the response. So what are the behavioural signs of fear? You get body language indicators. So you'll have the dog being restless, pacing, shaking, trembling, increased vigilance, increased startle response with longer recovery, panting, drooling, tucked tails, ears back, crouched posture. Some dogs will go and seek their owners. You may see aggression from a dog trying to be restrained. Escape, hiding. So we have escape pictures here. You'll also get an increase in defecation, sometimes with diarrhea, increased urination, licking, panting, yawning. Crouch, hide, drooling is increased. Mydriasis, which is the showing of the white of the eyes, are all indicators of anxiety and fear. It's a distressing time for the dog. Here we see the type of destructive behaviour that can occur with a dog with an extreme form of hypersensitivity to noise. This dog had generalised its behaviour of escape from fireworks to thunderstorms and any other severe and loud noises. The dog couldn't escape from the kitchen, which backed onto a conservatory, and therefore tried to eat its way through the walls and doors. So how do we help our distressed canine friends? The short-term management is immediate intervention to make owner, environment and dog safe. Long-term treatment is going to be desensitization and counter-conditioning. Both may require pharmacological and pheromonal support. So how do we help our canine friends? Obviously, prevention is better than cure, and we've already spoken about habituating puppies to loud noises. You need to carry out a risk assessment to see if anyone's in immediate danger, if the animal becomes aggressive during periods of reactivity to firework noises, the animal itself, or to the environment such as walls, doors, carpeting, furniture, etc. If you can, it's better to not expose the dog to firework noises. Therefore, you may consider either creating a safe haven at home or even putting the dog into boarding kennels. Do check that the kennels are soundproofed, or maybe in a rural area where they're not going to be as affected. If using boarding kennels, then do book ahead. They will often be booked out for the Halloween period. Routines may need to be changed so that you're not taking the dog out for its evening walk when there is more likelihood of fireworks happening. You may need to adjust your walking times to afternoons. As the days become shorter, this will act as a cue for the nervous dog that the Halloween and therefore fireworks period is fast approaching. If possible, change feeding times so that the dog is fed before the fireworks season starts. Most importantly, don't punish the dog. This will only increase the anxiety of an already anxious and fearful animal. Try not to inadvertently reward the fearful behaviour by soothing the dog. Create a safe haven for the dog. A room without any windows. An indoor crate can become a safe haven. You can soundproof it with old blankets, duvet, cushions. Keep windows closed and if possible hang heavy curtains. Obviously this requires a certain amount of training prior to the event happening, so you need to be confining the dog, making it a pleasurable experience for several weeks. You can put on background music, TV, radio, something with a strong beat. With sufficient training you can use noise cancelling headphones. Talk to your vet or behaviourist about the use of Adaptil. Appropriate drug therapy can be very beneficial, but it does take 3 weeks to reach clinical efficacy. After the event is the time to start desensitisation programs using something like Sound Scary CD. It takes time, effort and encouragement. Playback sources should be outside. Playback levels should be always monitored so they're not too loud to start with. So what's the prognosis for the dog with counter-conditioning and desensitisation programs? The outcome is independent of the length of time that the problem has been occurring or its acuteness. However, desensitization counter-conditioning does take time and effort and requires encouragement from veterinary staff to make sure that you're doing things right. The increased frequency of plane recordings rather than the duration has a more favourable outcome, so a little and often is better than one long session. So good luck with your preparedness for fireworks. I'm Jim Stevens from the Pet Behaviour Centre. Thank you for listening.